ETA Scythe of Dawn. 39, 43, 25, ETA Scythe of Dawn. 39, 43, 24, ETA Scythe of Dawn. 39, 43, 23. His mind is still tired, but he needs to stand. He had lost nearly 2 hours as a haze because he wanted to be a warrior, but he must be the warlord, a leader, and in charge, at least for the ground, and the reinforcements are about to land. David, Firebat is requesting to dust off with criticals, Alaris called from behind him. Do it. If Angela has marked them as crits, then we need them on board now. He yelled after a bit of a head turn, before shifting his head to the Duchess. Duchess, can you hail all the teams we are sending down? Channel open, she said after a minute. To all of you who have bravely chosen to take the leap and join the fighting, do not fear. The enemy is many, but they are but wounded beasts. He stopped to inhale before roaring into the mic. And you are the fearless men and women of the GEV 105. We who go headfirst into the unknown, fight and win. We believe in you. Command out. He waved at the Duchess to cut the line. David, the enemy ship has touched down planetside. I can't see what they are doing, but I am detecting a slowly increasing number of life forms leaving its hull. Gavi told him, uncertainty in his voice. They are unloading. That ship isn't equipped for a space battle. If I had to guess, it is a troop transport. David calmly explained. David, the engineers think we can implement your idea, but the ship will have to descend into the upper atmosphere. The captain spoke through the intercom. Your ship, Captain, I can't ask you to do that, but the effect it will have on the ground would be astronomical. David said back. The GEV 105 can enter the atmosphere of planets and even can land, but if they did, it would make them exposed to attack from space, and that would doom them all. Not to mention the chances that the enemy may have atmospheric fighter craft that could take shots at them. There is a lot of risk. Jaylock, can you ask the Jow-Anorm if they have any attack crafts? David asked. I can, but they don't have enough men to guard their bases until takeoff, Jaylock said back. Alaris, get Alpha Team to group up and link up with any of the Vil-Anis, then get to the nearest Jow-Anorm air base. David said to her before looking back to Jaylock, get some brave ones to Alpha Team and tell them to act as interpreters. My men will buy them the time they need. ETA Scythe of Dawn 38, 30, 58. David was leaning heavily on the holotable and watching. Hearth's team was holding back the enemy for the atmospheric fighters to take off. Their strikes were breaking the momentum of the enemy, but it was only buying seconds, not enough of them in the air to buy breaks yet. His mind was still awake, but a creeping call for rest was pushing on him. David, the first evac is starting. All 20 shuttles are about to dust off, said the Duchess beside him. Tell all ground teams that they will need to fight harder than before for the next 5 minutes. They have to buy the shuttles time to ascend. He roared so all of them could hear. David, we are descending into the atmosphere. Please mark out where you need the barriers. The captain told him over the intercom. He was risking his ship for this plan. Will do, and thank you, Captain, David said as he marked out a pentagon with 2 openings on the north and south parts. David kept watching the maps as different parts of this battle unfolded. No, not battle. This is a ground war, and David was no novice. He saw it all. Hearth holding an airbase so that the Jow-Anorm could take off and land to rearm, Samantha and Rick being terrors to any enemy stupid enough to get within firing range, Angela treating the wounded and coordinating aid. Even Maya and the scientists were fighting hard, lethal weapons in everyone's hands, and how he wishes to have just 1 or 2 more human fire teams. ETA Scythe of Dawn, 37, 6:23. The fighting was going, and the time between the enemy attacks was slowing down. They realized that they can't breach the base camp, but they are still poking at it. Hearth is still fighting to hold the airbase, and the teams on the ground have managed to set up a rotation with Samantha's help. He blinked hard, an effort to stay awake, his mind fogging at the edges, but a scent that was rich and intoxicating hit his nose. As he pulled back up, there was a mug of coffee that came under him in the hands of Alaris. You are getting tired. We need to find you someone to switch you out, she said. Her voice carried restrained concern. David took the cup. It was black, with no sugar, not his choice, but perfect. Point someone with close to as many battles as me or you, and I'll switch with them. For now, I just need this, he said, as he raised the cup again. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Remember that mark that stood in my way? Get him to bring me a cup just like this every 6 hours, okay? He pulled her in and kissed her cheek. I'll be fine. I just need to hold out until the scythe gets here, then I can sleep. I know I can't stop you, but don't overdo it. He'll be back in 6 hours. Yayuli has your station, she said, and walked out. Most of the members that were here at the start had left, leaving just him in a sea of new faces. Listen up, he roared, getting everyone's attention. As of 3 hours ago, the search and rescue effort on John Kuhl became a battleground. I know most of you have no battlefield experience save a few, but that is fine. Just follow my orders and we will save as many as we can. Now sit, Rep. Alpha Team is taking more fire. They are asking for reinforcements, Yayule called. The Lithrani are holding but taking injuries, said a Lithrani. The packs are working together and holding their positions, but they want to allow more into the fight, called Gilris. The herd is pushing back and clearing the way for more civilians to reach the base camp, said the Clocash herd member. We are taking a lot of fire, but the Kaelmare will hold, yelled one of the nuttiers. The Jawanurm are spreading the word that our base camp is safe. They would like to coordinate evacs to get civilians in, called Avil Annis. We are also working to send down new drones, but the workshop is having a hard time. We are losing too many. Redeploy Barvo to Alpha's position, David roared and shifted to Gilris. Tell them that as long as they have half their number resting, they can fight. Tell the colony not to overextend. We need them fighting, not running around. He pointed his face at the Lithrani, then turned to the Kolkash. Tell the herd they are now to find and take civilians to the base camp. He spun to the Vil Annis and Kaolmare's terminals. Don't chase the enemy. Stay in cover and shoot only when you can. He pointed at the Kaolmare. And keep the drones we got in cover. The new ones aren't deploying for another 10 minutes, and we need to hold for... He looked at the timer. 36 hours. Each of them was frozen for a second, and then he clapped, Now! Snapping them into action. The next 6 hours will be annoying. He looked down at the hollow table and his eyes lingered on his coffee. It was black with no sugar, not his choice, but perfect. It will keep him awake even against his will. ETA Scythe of Dawn, 35, 2046. David took the last gulp of his coffee and looked at the map. The base camp was holding, and the next wave of supplies was coming down, ready to unload more things for the teams and defenders to use. He knew that the enemy wouldn't stop the attacks, but their attacks have slowed down. Not a bad thing, normally, but if they are humans, it means they are either planning something big or planning something stupid, and both would be bad. David, Alpha and Bravo have spotted enemy movement coming to their position. They are requesting orders, called out Yayuli. David pulled up the map of the airbase, and in the hills to the north was a large concentration of enemies slowly closing in. Tell them to focus their fire north, and hold. David shifted his head at Gilris. I need 2 hunter packs to load up in a shuttle and get to the airbase. He turned around to the Vil Annis. Get the Jiao Enarm to launch a strike at the enemies to the north of their airbase. He looked back to the display, and to the one that showed the enemy ship's landing site and the slowly growing number of life forms. They were unloading everything they have, but that was the problem. Their first attacks were uncoordinated and reckless, like rookies spoiling for a kill, so whatever they were unloading will be bad. ETA Scythe of Dawn, 35, 1850.